Well, the Rangers have been one of the busier teams so far this offseason. You can see some of the additions and the subtractions. We'll start with the key subtractions. Big names like Patrick Kane, Vladimir Tarasenko, Tyler Mott, Yaroslav Halak also gone as well. But look at some of the names they bring in. Blake Wheeler, Nick Bonino, you got Eric Gustafson, Jonathan Quick to replace Yaroslav Halak in that backup goaltending position. Look, 2 years ago, this is a team that was ahead of the curve. They went to the Eastern Conference Final. Then they come back last season and they get bounced by their Cross River rivals in the New Jersey Devils in round number 1. Where are you at as far as where the Rangers are at right now? Are they closer to the team that went to the conference final, or are they closer to the team that got bounced early in the playoffs?
I pick A.
Okay.
I pick closer to the conference final. I really do. You know, even teams that are built exceptionally well, you're going to have a year where, whether it's circumstance or just failing to meet expectations, you kind of see a little dip. Perhaps a step backwards, if you'll accept, for the New York Rangers last year. I'm continuing to be strong on this group. And here's the thing. Going into free agency, if you're not going to button down Kane, if you're not going to button down Tarasenko, I like Blake Wheeler as an ad. Here's a guy that has tons of offensive upside. He's a proven 20-plus goals per year, has had a couple of 90-plus point seasons over the course of his career, and I really do get the sense that Blake Wheeler wants to put the Jets behind him for whatever reason. So I think a spot on the roster in the top 6, playing for those blue shirts of Broadway, I think this is a nice change of scenery and a great fit for a Blake Wheeler. I really see him helping to move the needle, playing in a top 6 role for these Rangers without question. And there's plenty of other, maybe subtle, but still noteworthy ads to talk about where the Rangers are concerned, like a Nick Bonino. Can't have too many centers. No. Jonathan Quick, I think, gives you a really seasoned mentor, a guy that can probably play 20-ish, 5 maybe games for the New York Rangers, and be a really a nice mentor for an Igor Shesterkin, who, he's going to be allocated 60-ish games each year, depending on how things go, and if he continues to be healthy.
All right, and maybe we're burying the lead here, because one of the biggest additions that wasn't on that board is the guy behind the bench, right? Peter Laviolette taking over. I think he's coached every team in the Metropolitan Division.
He's working his way through
so he's got some familiarity there. But what do you make of Laviolette taking over this team? How different will it look from the previous teams that we've seen in New York?
You know, I think in context, you look at the options out there that the Rangers had to add behind the bench if Gallant has to go. I think Laviolette made a whole lot of sense. And even were that not true and you had a broader range of options, I like Laviolette behind the Blue Shirts bench for a number of reasons. He's a guy that can play that hard-charging brand of hockey, if saddled with a roster like this one that has some real weapons on it. You know, I was a part of the Nashville Predators broadcast team as Lavi took over for the Preds. And for the first time in a while, I'm hearing players talk about motivator, great communicator. I was really impressed with the impact he had on that roster right out of the gate. Worked around Laviolette a lot while he was the head coach for the Nashville Predators. He brings a real sense of structure and business-like approach day to day. I think this is a good fit. I think we're going to see a real bounce, and he's proven that over the course of his career. Teams where he steps in year 1, you'll see a real uptick.
All right, so we got the coaching. We talked about some of the veterans maybe coming in to, just mentor this team, and Blake Wheeler and Jonathan Quick. What about some of those young guys, part of this young core? Alexei Lafreniere, Keandre Miller, Capo Canco. Are you seeing those guys take that next step? Because you want that trajectory to be this as your career progresses.
And I think that's an important point, JMO. In addition to what you've added, as we've discussed over the course of this piece of the broadcast, you're looking for some organic improvement as well. I saw Lafreniere, I saw Hedl, I saw Kako, I saw this young core take a step forward. Keandre Miller had a really solid year for this group at the back end. This is I think you're putting a good bit of responsibility, a good bit of stock in young faces like this, Kako and Lafreniere. They did take a step forward last year. And again, this is another opportunity for these guys. Now that they've kind of got their legs underneath them, They know what the NHL is all about. It's time for these guys to take some ownership, to be accountable, and to make a robust contribution if the Rangers are going to take that step. I think that we all know that they're capable of it.
What do you make of the division as a whole? Because you've got teams like Pittsburgh, like Washington, like we talked about last year, aging core, probably going to take a step back. Younger teams like the Devils, the Rangers, they're up and coming. How does this division shake out in your mind?
Yeah, I think you highlight a couple of really important aspects of the roster. It's the Rangers, it's the Devils of the Metro. Given that they're kind of bringing newer, younger pieces, a fresher look, and a really solid identity, a dangerous kind of identity. When contrasted with the Pens and the Capitals of this world, it really starts to feel, Pens especially, they're starting to age out of that key core that's given them some success in the past. So that'll be a bit of an interesting contrast. Hey, we wrote the Bruins off last year. Look what they did to us.